Hello, BookTube.
Hi, BookTube.
Well, as you can see, I have a guest. Despite all the warnings given to him by the parish priest, by his local doctor, by his ethics board, David Murphy has come back to Hyde Cottage. I think for an overnight stay. So
One night at a time, anyway. Yeah.
And of course, the first thing we did, literally the first thing we did, was to go out book hunting. So we each have a pile of books.
Yeah. We went back to the used book superstore, which kind of has been our routine every time I come.
Just a big warehouse full of bookshelves. Just slightly less enjoyable used book superstore experience this time around. Don't quite know why. Can't quite put my finger on why.
Not the same bargains for sure. Or maybe we were just so hypnotized by the number of books last time. It was the same, but I don't know.
Could be. Still lots and lots to choose from.
Yeah,
you can still
it's
imagine.
still a good way to grease the wheels, I
Right.
think. I mean, there's more book buying in our future, believe it or not. So I think this is a good start, something we know.
And it also has that feeling of what a magical place it would be if you went there regularly.
Yeah.
Just...
Yeah.
We went there on a weekend, so there were tons of people, and for me, it was tremendously wonderful to just walk down the aisles and listen to all the intensely bookish conversation that was going on. That was just delightful, and we got a ton of books.
We got a ton of books. Yeah. Long story short, so we're gonna go through them. I think I have a few more, so I'll start. Although it may be roughly even. You're right. This is the Cousins Wars. Here, who is this by? This is by Kevin Phillips, Religion, Politics, and the Triumph of Anglo-America. I haven't read this. I saw this, and I just read a few pages out of it, and I really liked it, so I don't have too much to say about it. Is it any good?
He's tremendously good.
Okay.
He's tremendously good. Everything he wrote is. But...
Oh, okay, yeah. The Politics of Rich and Poor, the Emerging Republican Majority are a couple mentioned at the back here. So.
And the books that he wrote after this also really really good. So it was a great find. And these were good. We went to the used book superstore, and then we went to a thrift shop.
Yeah, we went to Savers, I think it was. Yeah,
that had a book section. So not a lot of money was spent on any of these things except cumulatively. Are we going to swap off here? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, let's do that.
I did a second chance buy. I got the advanced copy of this from the publisher. I got the finished copy from the publisher. I have the ebook. But some books you just kind of want. So I got this. This is the Thalia, the Texas books of Larry McMurtry. These are contemporary novels in one heavy-duty volume from Viking, Liverite. I don't know why I got rid of this. I really don't. I know I say that all the time, but I don't know why I got rid of the copy that I had. When I saw this, I suddenly thought, oh, wait, you do regret that you got rid of it. I get rid of thousands of books in a year. So oftentimes I don't get reminded of which ones I'm sorry I got rid of until I see them again. Some books, I don't know. I'm glad that I have the big heavy hardcover. I'm glad that I do. I love the way it's done. I was just cheering on the project of putting these things out in one volume. This includes Horseman Pass By, Leaving Cheyenne, and The Last Picture Show. And all three of those books are great. Two of those books have set pieces that you will remember for the rest of your reading life. The Last Picture Show has a comic set piece, for instance, which we don't often associate Larry McMurtry with that. It has a comic set piece that is as good as any contemporary comedy that you'll ever read, and so much heart-touching stuff too. That
people probably know that better from the movie.
Oh yeah.
Book at this point, I would think. That volume is actually how I first encountered McMurtry.
No.
Yeah, I just read it straight through. And I go back to that all the time. I've had those books independently, and I still go back to that volume.
You read this before you read Lonesome Dove?
Yeah, well, at our family cabin, we had a hardcover of Lonesome Dove. That's the same as that paperback that everybody has, that mass market. And I just never read it. And this is how I first went through and met him. Yeah, yeah. I love Leaving Cheyenne. I think that might be my favorite.
It's
of the
fantastic.
Three, actually.
His contemporary, these slim Texas novels are great. So I was happy to find the volume.
And those are early McMurtry, comparatively, right? That's what I thought.
So the only reason that I found this copy is because you already have it.
Because I already have it,
Because that's what we were chatting up a storm, being as happy as could be, until we get to the front door of the used book superstore. And then it's absolute enemies. Well, I'm glad of it, because now we both have a copy.
Yeah. And then this is Viking Portable. This is the Portable D.H. Lawrence. and this is a hardcover one, and I don't see these very often. I don't know, if I'm going to go to the poetry very much or things like that. I haven't read much of his fiction. My guess is you prefer the nonfiction.
Only barely. I don't like the nonfiction much either.
Really?
I just don't think he's all that talented at all. I would rather a Viking Portable of Diana Trilling than a Viking Portable of but isn't it tempting to think that they were all in hardcovers? Wouldn't it be incredible to find a version of this for the Renaissance reader?
Oh my God!
Or something like that.
The Victorian reader, yeah, or the Bible, yeah.
Or the World Bible that they do.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I love that volume. That is such a good volume.
What we're talking about, these Viking Portables, they're most famous for little mass market paperbacks, and they did a gigantic run of them. And one of the ones they did is called the World Bible, because it's the sacred text of a whole bunch of different religions and spiritual traditions, and it's an incredible volume. I don't have a copy.
I do at home. Not one of the older ones, one of the newer publications.
I'm hoping to rectify the I don't have a copy of that this week.
But that's a great volume, because when you read it through, you can't help but notice, similarities and things like that. It's a really good volume.
It's a fantastic volume, and if you are fervently religious, regardless of what your religion is, don't read this book cover to cover. Don't do it, because you won't be when you're done. It's when you see all these different spiritual traditions lined up together and realize that millions of people fervently born, lived, and died in each one of them. Anyway, we're getting to the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, I know.
I got another Avenel omnibus edition. I'm planning on getting a lot of these this week. This is Agatha Christie's Detectives. And we have Murder at the Vicarage, Dead Man's Folly, Sad Cypress, Towards Zero, and N or M. N or M drove me nuts, and the Murder at the Vicarage is great. So it spans the spectrum. I love these Avenel anthology volumes. If luck smiles on me, if we go book hunting in one particular location in Connecticut this week, Avenel did 4 or 5 volumes of anthologies of Louis L'Amour, and I have seen them every time you've come to visit, and I haven't got any of them. And that's, I'm going to get them. If I see those again, I'm going to get them. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, this is The Pope at War by David Kurtzer, and I haven't read this. This came out a few years ago. I think
2022?
2020, or maybe you're right, 2022. It might be newer than that. But his book, is it The Pope and Mussolini, or is it the other way around? Yeah, The Pope and Mussolini is really, really good. And as far as I know, you might know better than me, when it comes to this subject, he's sort of the guy to go to, is my understanding. But
well, the other seminal book, I think you probably have it, is Hitler's Pope.
Yeah, Hitler's Pope. Yes.
This is much broader.
Actually, I think I like the e-copy of that, but yeah.
And Hitler's Pope is more angry too.
It is more angry.
It's an angry book, as it should be. It's a total question of we're all of a sudden into these deep philosophical.
Well, yeah,
subjects.
and I mean, is it Ian Kershaw's book, Tallenbach? He spends a whole chapter on that.
When it comes to the subject of the Vatican's cooperation, or at least acquiescence with the Nazis, on the one hand, you say you have existed for 2,000 years to fight evil, and now you are facing the clearest example of evil in human history. Therefore, you must fight. And on the other hand, at the time and since, you will have people saying, if we fight, we can't help. If we fight, we'll lose. And if we lose, we can't help people. So we will not fight, and we will help people.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing as when people mock the government of France. When the government of France was saying, do we want the Louvre shelled into rubble? We're custodians of the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower. We don't want them shelled into rubble. If we capitulate, I guess this is going to be Steve and David philosophy hour. Right? We're not a happy book chat at all.
We may have to crack the wine early. Anyway, this is great. Lots of source material in these. I remember spending tons of time in the footnotes of the Pope and Mussolini, so I'm really excited to get that.
I got a hardcover of Margaret George's The Confessions of Young Nero. She unexpectedly wrote 2 historical novels about Nero, and I reviewed, I believe, both of them. I got the hardcover anyway because the hardcover is so lovely. The the deckled edges and everything. And I wasn't particularly impressed with either of the Nero books that she wrote. In fact, I'm not generally impressed with this author. But I was right there in a used bookstore, and
I had to carry it. Well, where do you get all this crap?
He had to carry it. And I'll give it another try. I'll gladly give it another try. This is the hardcover, so of course it doesn't have my blurb. I wouldn't want it to be said that I was shopping for blurbs instead of books. I wouldn't want anyone to make a comment like that.
I don't know who would.
That would be a horrifying thing for someone to say to a critic.
Awful. Next up, I have Norman Davies' No Simple Victory.
What a book.
Yeah. And I love his Rising 44 on the Battle War side. So good, too. That's a huge volume that you see.
How do you not have this one?
I thought the same thing. I actually was pretty sure I did, and before I left, I didn't do this previously, I finally took photographs of my bookshelves. Because there was, I think, maybe one duplicate I bought last time I was out, and I was horrified of that happening again. I mean, I checked. No, I don't have this. I know I have an e-copy of it, but not a physical one. This is really, really good. So there you go. World War II. We were going to keep with that.
I found a paperback copy of Dominion by noted Spider-Man actor Tom Holland. I long since got rid of my hardcover, and I couldn't help but notice that this one was really nicely blurbed. So I made sure to grab it because this is blurbed. I like the book. Okay, I like the book. I'm sorry. I was sorry that I didn't have a copy of the book, and now I do. I didn't buy it for the blurbs, but I'm blurbed alongside Durbin McCullough. I kind of want that. I kind of want that in my collection.
This book is making the rounds still.
Oh yeah, people still talk about it. They still think about it.
Niche YouTube channels and everything like that.
One of those books that certainly not everything that we do today is one of those. But every once in a while you'll get one of those books. And once you've read it, people just can't let go of it.
Yeah, and I think I need to reread it because I've been getting a sort of a sour taste in my mouth because people grab onto it and say, well, you're all just Christians anyway, even if you're not. It's being co-opted, I think is what I'm saying. And I need to go back to it and give it another reading. But
every single book, it would being dragged into deep philosophical water.
But I also want to read that alongside, McCullough's, and then is it Paul Johnson, his single volume? Do I have that name right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those three I sort of want to read together.
The Paul Johnson History of Christianity is another one of those very rare intersection points where Christopher Hitchens and I thought the same thing about the book.
Oh, really?
Which is that it's junk.
Oh, no.
And that is not... He spouted off on every book that he ever read. I do, too. So it's rare that happens.
Okay, so 2 books. I'm going to read 2 books, I guess.
Have you read the McCullough?
No. No. I've only read Dominion.
Man. What we're talking about here is Dermot McCullough's gigantic History of Christianity, the first 3,000 years, which is incredible. Just incredible.
So I'm hoping I see it this weekend. Okay, yeah, so going on to be, this is more World War II. This is great. This is Moral Combat by Michael Burleigh.
This is also fantastic.
This is so good. He's maybe known to some of you for his great History of the Third Reich.
Yeah, you would
I'm blank on the title of it.
You would... History of the Third Reich.
Is that it? Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah.
But you would think... I thought, when I got wind of that book, surely we don't need another one-volume History of the Third Reich. And it's so good. It's so good that you don't mind at all.
And it goes along really nicely, I think, with Richard Evans' volume, which is a little more, I don't know if it's analytical or drier. It's broader level. Burleigh's book is more visceral, angry.
A lot more eloquent, too.
Street level, I guess, for lack of a better term. Really good. But Moral Combat is fantastic as well, so I'm happy to have a
paperback
copy.
Is really well blurbed. So as you know. Are we running about even here?
It's close enough, I think.
Some of your extensions. A lot of his mechanical extensions have been falling off in the course of the evening. Okay, my next one is a bit of a theme. I didn't have many themes, but I had one theme this time around. I might as well show both. I got 3 books on the same subject, and the subject is Anne Boleyn. I found this. This is Marie-Louise Bruce's biography. This is probably from the 60s. 1972. I don't know that I've ever read this. Probably I have. But I might as well go through all 3. I found that. I found Rita Warnick's book on the rise and fall of Anne Boleyn in one of these old Canto trade paperbacks. That I just love these things, and they're really, really durable. And this is really good. It's really, really scholarly. It's weird that the author sometimes takes flyers on things in here. You will find things in here that have made their way into every subsequent Anne Boleyn biography that Warnick just made up. or she looks at the records and says, I wonder if those two people were sleeping with each other. And then in the middle of a scholarly chapter talking about those two people, she will say, and maybe they were sleeping with each other. No, that's not how it works. But she does it, and it's so enjoyable that you just keep going. You just keep burbling along. And then the last Anne Boleyn thing was yet another paperback copy of The Other Boleyn Girl. I found trade paperback of this book. This is Philippa Gregory's breakout book, I think changed historical fiction for the 21st century. And it's about Anne Boleyn's sister, but also about Anne Boleyn, because it follows Anne Boleyn from her rise to her queenship to her fall. And I had a trade paperback of this, and I was reading it on the seat of ease, and I was really enjoying it. Really enjoying that reread. And a bug landed on one of the pages, and reflexively I went like that and smashed it, but it did not go quietly. It took a few smashes, and it somehow managed to get on the pages as well. It ended up being just a macabre burial ground. So I couldn't keep that volume. I just threw it out. So I'm glad I found another one.
I don't think I've ever lost a book that way. And then this, more history, is Almost a Miracle, The American Victory in the War of Independence.
John Ferling is great. He is great. This is a fantastic book.
Yeah, and I grabbed this based on the author's name, based on a review that you wrote of some other book of his that I remembered. I don't remember what it was. I don't think it was in the back here. So it may have been after this.
I don't know. It might have been that.
I guess it could have been, yeah.
About 25 years ago, his biographies of John Adams and George Washington were reprinted in beautiful trade paperbacks. Get them if you can find them, because as one-volume biographies of those two men, they are really, really good. But everything he did is good. Now you're going to be wondering what I've reviewed, if I reviewed anything that might be blurbed.
Not that that'd be a reason to buy it.
I found this old trade paperback of the complete verse of Rudyard Kipling. I had to double check to make sure that it isn't studentified, but it's fine. And this, I think, like a lot of people, this trade paperback is really
Who is that?
Anchor. It's not. It was purely sentimental reasons. This was cheap, so I mean, this is not well made. It's just 2 dots of glue, so it's not going to take a beating. But I'm not going to give it a beating, and I don't have another collected verse of Kipling, so this will be fine. It won't be a front to back read. So
okay, then this or 30s. This is All Against All: The Long Winter of 1933 and the Origins of the Second World War by Paul Jankowski. This came out a couple years ago.
That's fairly new.
Yeah, and I mean, for some of these, at least 3 of these, I wanted them when they came out. I just didn't want to pay hardcover prices, and then I maybe forgot about them, and then saw them here and just decided to pull the trigger. And this is one of those.
People will pay for new books?
Yeah, some of us do. Yeah. Some of us who don't get blurred.
That's... I found this thing. Cute little... these green spine penguins are the early poems of Edna St. Vincent Millay. I've thought about this book twice in 2024, because twice in 2024, 2 separate occasions, 2 separate buys, I have gone to the sale lot of the Brattle bookstore, and there have been tiny little volumes of her early verse with tattered old brown age dust jackets, and I've had them $5 a piece and thought, should I? What about a nice anthology? And I had this book in mind both times when I turned those down, and here it is. So that's great. All I need is the thing that I don't have, and this is not an invitation for you to send it to me. The thing that I don't have is the Edna St. Vincent Millay version of this, which is a big fat white trade paperback with script lettering on it saying the complete poems of Edna St. Vincent Millay. I had that thing. Everybody had that thing. in the late 80s. Forever and ever, I had that thing, and I don't anymore, and I never see it. So I'll take this in lieu of that.
I don't want it, but here's exactly what it looks like. Here's what
All right, if you see that, but I want you to get it for yourself. I don't want you to send it to me.
We might see it this week. Who knows? More World War II, predictably. Maybe I'll branch out more as we go throughout the week. But this is Monty Casino. This is Matthew Parker. I have read this. This is a pretty good book. But it's on my mind because James Holland is coming out with his Casino book. Yeah.
I was just going to say, isn't there a new book coming out on Monty Casino? And it's him. It's your guy.
My guy. Yeah, one of my guys. So I'll be looking forward to that. And so it's just timely.
Do you know this book?
Yeah, I've read it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Just pretty good, though.
It's just pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
It's not astounding or anything. I'm not going to...
I found a copy of this, Steve Healy's novel, How I Became a Famous Novelist. It's cocked. But the only reason that I grabbed it is because I never see it used. And I want copies of it in case I want to just impulsively hand it to people, because it's one of those books.
You've talked about this a lot over the years.
It's so good. This is so good. It's about a poor schmuck who decides that the best way to stick it to his ex-girlfriend, who is marrying a wonderful guy, is if he shows up to the wedding as a best-selling novelist. So he goes about the process of becoming a best-selling novelist. How do you do that? What's the book going to be like? And who do you have to talk to? And in the process, the modern publishing industry is served up on a platter with an apple in its mouth. It's just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. What people are like who perpetrate the kind of books that get on the bestseller list. Just wonderful. And of course, the double punch of the ending. I don't want to give anything away, but you can predict from that premise what both punches of the ending are, and they're done perfectly. He doesn't try to surprise you. He gives you exactly those two things. On that premise, you could say two things about how this book ends. You'd be right about both of them, but they're done so well. I love it so much. I'll probably reread it, and then it'll go on the shelf and just wait to send to somebody.
Now, are they just characters of types of people? Or are they like, you're reading a character like, oh, this is a specific person, and I know who it is? Both?
You know that it's Amy Tan. You know that it's Tom Clancy. You definitely know that it's Tom Clancy. Oh, my God. If he hadn't been dead, he would have sued. But also fantasy novelists and feel-good novels. Like, for instance, on the back here, there is a simulated New York Times bestseller list, and it gives the one-sentence descriptions of some of the books. The Great Fish by Liz Martin, the biblical story of Jonah retold from the point of view of the whale. The Balthazar Tablet. The murder of a cardinal leads a Yale professor and an underwear model to the Middle East, where they uncover a close conspiracy among the Shriners. so on and so forth. There's one, what is it? Yes, the first one, the number one, is called Mind Stretch. Trang Martinez suspects her Pilates instructor may be a vicious serial killer. And that just goes on throughout the book. Oh my God, I love it so much.
That's awesome. I did something completely different. I finally found, I was looking for this last time I was out here.
You never see this
out
in a while
Splinter of the Mind's Eye, this old Star Wars novel. This is
not old enough. Look at all the junk on the cover up here and that yellow thing there.
Yeah.
At least you've got it. Good Lord.
At least I've got it. That's true. This was the first Star Wars, I think the first Star Wars novel to come out after the original 6 movies.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty good. Most Star Wars novels are pretty bad. This one is really enjoyable.
Of this. God. And the reason it's not in my pile is because he saw it first. Is that Star Wars is embossed on the cover? And it's got an introduction by George Lucas. Oh my God. Oh.
And it doesn't have, after Disney bought Star Wars, they reprinted all these old ones with it's saying Legends across the top because it's no longer canon.
Because it's no longer
you want to find the older ones if you can. Yeah. Same with like all the Timothy Zahn novels. You want to find the older ones of those. So I wanted to find this last time we were there, and I was so happy to find it this time. It's a good
I would never even thought to look for it. I will look for it this week. I would love a print copy of that. I have an ebook, but I'd love a print copy. Let's see. Oh no, I've got another theme. I've got another theme here. I found this old series. This is the Adrenaline book series. Some of you will know these. They're in these floppy trade paperbacks with the French flaps. And they're on different subjects. There's one for climbing the greatest mountains in the world. There's one for wild adventures with animals. And this is stories of the high seas over the last 2,000 years, in excerpt or in full. And I love these volumes. I once had a whole bookcase of them. They're all gone. But I found this and just gobbled it right up. And especially since it goes along with this, the Faber book of Tales of the Sea. So these things go together. Probably, I haven't checked, but probably they repeat some of the same things. So happy to have these both. This one is older. These Faber books are great. If you ever see these old Faber anthologies, especially the Faber Book of Diaries, grab them. You'll go back to them over and over again. I've had this at one point or another, but now I have them both. That's fantastic. That's my theme.
Okay.
I'm saving my loud reprimand for last.
I'm
going to reprimand.
Doing it, yeah.
I'm going to reprimand you all at the end of the video. Aren't you happy? I'm going to yell at you all, but I'm saving it for last. Oh no, you're out of books. Oh no, you're not.
No,
okay,
I just moved them up here. Yeah. So this is the Pelican Russian Thinkers by Isaiah Berlin. I sort of grabbed this just because I like these old Pelican volumes. I think I have everything in here. I'm sure it starts with Hedgehog and the Fox. But after I grabbed this, I did realize there was some writing in it. So I'll bring it home and I'll see if I do have everything in it or not. And if I do, I'll probably get rid of it.
Do you like Isaiah Berlin?
I do,
As a writer? I do,
yeah,
too.
I do.
I like his prose on the page.
Yeah, a lot of people have strong opinions about him, and sometimes I'm not sure about where it's coming from. But another reason why I wasn't sure about collecting this is Princeton, I think it's Princeton, has put out all those volumes where it's got a caricature of Isaiah Berlin on the front. I have his volume of the biography of Marx, which I reread recently, and I think I may just get the others in that series. But those are great.
Is he good on Marx? I can't remember if I've ever read that.
Yeah, it's actually, I would say, I've probably read like 5 biographies of Marx this year. Of those, it's probably one of the 2 to have.
Which dovetails nightly with the fact that David wrote a review. He wrote a book review of the new translation of the first volume of Capital, which, if I remember, I will link it down below. I don't get as many book reviews from David Murphy as I would like. So,
I'd like to hear more about that.
The more of you read it and encourage him to write more, the better. Although, I couldn't help but be a little bit bitter at that crack about how are you shopping for blurbs or are you shopping for books? Because imagine what his reaction will be if he's blurbed on the paperback of Karl Marx. Imagine what his reaction will be. He'll hand it out to Uber drivers.
That would be a conundrum, though. I'd be handing out Marx, who I'm not, exactly keen on. But...
Oh, I know. The heartache when you get a great blurb with a name on something that you're only... I don't know. I don't want to recommend the book, but we're getting to it. Don't you worry. I'm next here. I found Ron Hansen, who I love. This is his historical novel about Billy the Kid, who I think Billy the Kid is fascinating. I just recently, last year, reread a great book on Billy the Kid, but I'm up for almost any of them. And Ron Hansen, I'm very fond of his work. I'm very fond. I like what he does. So I had this book once upon a time. I think I reviewed it. If I'm blurbed on it, I'm going to be eating crow for the rest of the night. I swear I didn't know. If I am, let's check just to make sure that I'm not. Highbrow magazine? Is there such a thing? They wouldn't want me, that's for sure. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not blurbed on this. Oh, we're getting to blurbs, don't you worry.
Is that all you have left?
No, I've got 2 more.
Okay, I have 3 more. 2 can go together. Well, let's go to this one. This is more Marx. This is The Sociology of Marx by Henry Lefebvre. I'm not familiar with him. Apparently he's French. And there were some other studies of Marx there that I didn't get because they were also quite penned up. This one is not. I think, so going back to having reread Volume 1 of Capital, I think I'm going to be spending the rest of the year with Marx and Marx-adjacent literature and biographies and stuff. It's been a while. I haven't deep dived him since college, so I sort of took the publication by Princeton of that Volume 1 of Capital to jump back in. And then when I'm done with that, maybe next year I'll have to do something for my sins. So this is for my sins. I'll have to do something to palate cleanse. Maybe I'll go back to Adam Smith or
the
something.
Marxist and classical economics shelves of the book barn are all quivering, saying, "What is that in the air? What do we feel? We don't get any attention. Nobody pays attention to us."
I know, and I know what I want too, because you go into Marx and then you're thinking, "Oh, I should reread Ricardo, because it's, bastardized Ricardo, really. And then you think, okay, Ricardo, well, now I have to go back to Smith, and then Smith, and then you go back to the Physiocrats, and then it's never ending. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I always think.
That old chestnut, yeah.
That old chestnut, exactly. Just let it sink in here for a minute, all the cracks that he makes in every video about how, oh my God, I've got such a horrible night ahead of me. It goes both ways. Okay? My next is a Book of the Month Club, is that right? Well, it says Scribner's, but it was Book of the Month. I love the physical copy of this. I have an ebook of it, but this is Arctic Dreams by Barry Lopez. I love Barry Lopez's writing. I absolutely love it. I'm not saying that I love him the way that I love Ron Hansen, but I love Barry Lopez's writing. I'm delighted to have this paperback, but it's also a gauntlet thrown into the wind, because I have not seen a copy of Wolves and Men in probably 20 years in a used bookstore. Hoping to change that this week, even though Of Wolves and Men is a human writing about a canine, so it's mostly flapdoodle. I still want a copy, and I did not see it today. I don't know if you did. No, you'd have it if you did. But I have this. I'll take the obnoxious stickers off it and give it a reread. That's great.
And then are you? Oh, never mind.
Oh, I've got
and
one
I'll just
left.
finish it. Yeah, I
have one left?
And then I'm just gonna walk off stage here. This is August 1939, the last 4 weeks of peace. I've never heard of this. Even I don't know anything about it. It's Stephen Howarth.
I do not know this book.
Apparently, just from looking at it, it seems like he goes across different diplomats and personalities across the major nations to see what they were doing and what they were thinking. And
how many World War II books did you get? It's like 10 World War II books.
11. So this is Interrogations, the Nazi elite in Allied hands. Richard Overy, and it's exactly what you think. It's
is
really
it the
a
transcripts?
document book. Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing that'd be interesting, I guess, to us. But.
So, if those of you who were handicapping at home, wondering if this was going to be the time when David paid off that sentence that he said so forlornly a couple of times last time, I could be a Civil War guy.
Next year.
Yeah, it's not, it's not happening this
Get it together.
Maybe later on this week. It's not happening today. And then I've got one book left. And I want to scold you all because you have not told me about this book, and there's no good reason for that. So you're all in the doghouse. I shouldn't say in the doghouse because I loved being in the doghouse. You're at the cat scratching pole. There's a book that exists in paperback that a number of you have bought in paperback, and not one of you has thought to tell me a significant feature of that paperback. In fact, the most important feature of that paperback. The paperback I'm talking about is the Michael Katz translation of the Brothers Karamazov. And the feature on the back is a guy named Sam Sachs. And inside the book is a guy named Steve Donahue. And that doesn't happen that often. There are only about 20 books in the world that have that. And I'm not going to get the paperback from the publisher. My work is done. I've already written about it. But you are all buying the paperbacks. And what are you doing when you buy the paperback? You're saying, oh, Sam, I think I saw him on a Steve video. Oh, Steve, I watch him all the time. Throw it on the shelf. Silent as a tomb. I had to learn by browsing the shelves at the used book superstore with a loser for company that I'm blurbed on this with Sam. Oh, he's sitting right there. How awkward.
Who drove?
And did everything else. Literally everything else. Because I am useless here in Hyde Cottage. Where are the can openers? What's a can opener? Where are the clean plates? Who uses clean plates? But so next time you see a book with named blurbs by me and someone else who's been on my channel, feel free to let me know instead of having me find out for myself. There, I've got it out of my system. Right. Yes, indeed. So there you go. That was a massive book haul that was done within an hour of meeting up here in Boston. And I think there are more book hauls in the future.
Yes.
Quite a few. I want a paperback of Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I want a paperback of that. Ooh,
I know it put some other things in my head too that I'm going to keep an eye out for.
But for now,
you can't go with a list though.
You can't go with a list. It doesn't.
I mean, it's not just like you talk about the Brattle Gods. It's also just not practical. You're going to see so many books.
Well, I always think that going with a list, and you don't go to the Brattle with a list. That's bad. The Brattle sale lot with a list, because the Brattle sale lot is all random. But I always find that going with a list to a normal used bookstore is counterproductive anyway, because you start concentrating on the list and missing things.
And you miss what's in front of you. Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're now going to embark on an evening of fun. Little
with a little in between.
Little Greco-Roman wrestling, perhaps. It's always Hannah's favorite part of a visit.
Oh, great. Oh my God! I leave Saturday.
It's a long time. It'll be lots and lots of fun. It will be, well, it won't be wine and calzones, because we were starving, so there was no, and it's Sunday, so the calzone place is not open. But wine and calzones will be in the future, and the adorable little baby, and a whole bunch of book hunting. So
not the last you'll see of us.
No, we'll be back. But for now,
thank you, BookTube.
Thank you, BookTube.